here tonight. Clerk Moss, will you please make the announcement and call roll?
Certainly, Vice Chair. Washington County Board of Commissioners also meeting as the Board of Directors of Clean Water Services and all other county service districts is meeting this regular session, June 24th, 2025. Commissioner Fye?
Present.
Commissioner Schneider?
Here.
Commissioner Willie?
Here.
Vice Chair Treese? And I'll
Here.
announce Chair Harrington is excused for tonight.
Thank you. Will you all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And as we get started tonight, I would like to announce that I am moving the presentation item E1 before public communication. I'm moving it up to this time. So the board has a statement to read as part of this item. I will go ahead and start, and each of us are going to read a part of it. So,
Commissioner Treese, may I recommend a friendly amendment since my position hasn't changed? May I read the first paragraph that you're going to read?
I think we decided that the chair, vice chair, acting chair would read the first paragraph, and I think we were okay with that in work session.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and since my position hasn't changed on this situation, this is the agenda item to rescind the equity resolution. I thought it might be best to come out of the commissioner that was not in support of rescinding the equity resolution.
thank you, Commissioner Fye. I am happy.
We can take a vote, though, and see if you want to.
I'm happy to have you read the first piece, and I'll read the second piece. I would like to note, though, that there was no vote taken on rescinding the resolution. There was no position taken on that. In fact, it was delayed to tonight. So just for clarity, I want to make sure that everybody in the room understands that what happened last week, again, is that there was a proposal to rescind the equity resolution, and that was pulled from the agenda by agreement at the work session. So go ahead, Commissioner Fye.
Okay, let me pull mine. Thank you. We wanted to take a moment to address the community's concern with the agenda item that was pulled from the June 7th. No. Yeah, there's a minor change. So hold on, let me pull up. This is why I wanted to get the right one. We have it in our email, so the printed version is incorrect. Do we have them? Okay, here's the statement from the board position about that agenda item. We wanted to take a moment to address the community's concern with the agenda item that was pulled from June 17th, 2025 Board of Commissioners agenda item G3. The purpose of the agenda item being considered was to meet new conditions included in federal grants and contracts. One aspect of that item was rescission of the county's equity resolution. We want to be clear, we will not be rescinding, revising, or amending this resolution.
Thank you, Commissioner Fye. Let us share our priorities and process that we will be undertaking. The county administrator has retained a consultant to help the board, county staff, and the community develop a path forward, including a resolution and order that honors our value of inclusion, reaffirms the county's commitment to advancing policies and programs in a lawful and non-discriminatory fashion.
This effort builds upon the work that we've been collectively doing together to create a county and community that aims to be inclusive for all. Until we have this in place, we have paused the signing of all federal grants and contracts. The county relies on $135 million annually in funding from the federal government to serve our most vulnerable community members.
We anticipate bringing the proposed resolution in order forward at the Board of Commissioners meeting on July 22nd, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. We want to thank our community and partners for weighing in on this important matter and reminding all of us of the importance this work plays for all of us. In the weeks ahead, we will provide more updates on this process.
Thank you to my fellow commissioners for demonstrating our position on this issue. It's very important. And we all wanted to make sure that those of you in the audience that are going to be providing public comment have that information as well. So we have a long list of those who would like to speak tonight. We are going to extend the option for public communication. We are going to allow 21 people who have signed up prior to the board's work session to speak for 2 minutes each, for a total of no more than 42 minutes. I would ask you to be succinct, please. I would ask you to, when it's your turn to come to the table, to be ready to go and to end on time. That way we can get through this because we have a very full agenda following public comment. With that, I'd like to turn it over to Clerk Moss.
Thank you, Vice Chair Teresa. I'll call you up for at a time here. So the first four we have Sandra Nelson, Hope Kramer, Dale Feek, and Amanda Seeby.
Go ahead, Ms. Nelson.
Thank you. Good evening, Vice Chair Treese and Commissioners. My name's Sandra Nelson. I'm a resident of Washington County. I read through the item that was pulled from consideration last week, a resolution to ensure compliance with all local, state, and federal laws. I commend Chair Harrington for a very thoughtfully written resolution and planned presentation. She acknowledged the extremely difficult choice before the board: compliance with the President's executive order resulting in the revocation of DEI policies and programs to gain access to federal funds versus noncompliance resulting in the loss of funds for critical services. I assume you're also holding off on a vote for the resolution for as long as possible to see if the executive order will be invalidated. Don't know that. But if the order is upheld, it does not mean that those who are deeply involved in the DEI movement will now be discriminated against. I think it means that we will uphold a higher law, an acknowledgement that all people are created equal, that all people are entitled to the same rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and not at other people's expense or infringement of rights. Some people think that the removal of DEI rules is an attack on the identity of people who have put themselves under the protection of DEI. I confess I find that very sad. My hope is that each person grows strong enough in his identity that the government is not needed to support any faltering identities. My even greater hope is that each person will know that he is made in the image of God and is therefore very, very precious. Father in heaven, our board of directors clearly and rightly wants to be of and for all the people of Washington County, and the board also recognizes the necessity of compliance with laws it might not like. Please give our board wisdom and courage as they sort out the most important issues of the resolution.
Thank you, Ms.
In
Nelson.
Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you very much. Ms. Kramer.
Hello. The state of Oregon has staunchly opposed the anti-DEI tactics that Donald Trump has tried to institute. In fact, the state of Oregon is in a federal lawsuit with 19 other states opposing this action. I would really like to see Washington County support our state by standing by with the decision made at the state level and supporting that, by also not backing down on initiatives, DEI initiatives at the county level. I realize funding is at stake. I have personally founded a nonprofit organization called Hope Community Network to help unhoused folks in our community. So it eats at my heart to know that funding for those initiatives is at stake. However, I think that this push to remove DEI principles is a push towards an authoritarian government and a fall into fascism. I, for one, cannot tolerate that, and I hope our county commissioners cannot either. This is your opportunity to stand up against authoritarian rule and make the hard decisions. You're the politicians in place right now when times are tough, but it's time for you to get tough in response. We need you to make the kinds of decisions that didn't get made in Germany during the rise of fascism. We need you to stand up to tyranny. Otherwise, we could easily fall into a space that looks very much like Nazi Germany. If you ever wondered what you would have done during the rise of fascism in Germany, now is your chance to find out, because you're doing it right now.
Thank you very much, Ms. Freeman. While I appreciate your support so we can move through this, you can do this, you can snap, but we'd like to move forward quickly. Thank you for your understanding here. Mr. Feek.
Vice Chair and Presiding Officer Pam Treese and Commissioners, I'm Dale Feek. I already sent you an email. The title of that is, What I Fear Trump Will Do with His War. Centralize even more power and curtail even more civil liberties. You've already got that in front of you. And I'm quoting Robert Wright. One of his goals in writing this letter is to alert you and the dangers to our democracy so you can alert others, who then alert others, and by this means we enlarge and strengthen our bulwark against the tide of fascism. Wars pose particular challenges to democracy because nations at war often become more xenophobic and willing to give those in power extra leeway to protect the homeland. That's an underlying danger in Trump's war in Iran. Trump has already tried to use three pretexts to usurp power: terrorism, national emergency, and war itself, to justify his mass deportations, universal tariffs, and consolidations of power. And he has tried to use these again to gain legal legitimacy under laws that give presidents additional power when the nation is threatened. I fear, Robert Wright fears, that Trump's war with Iran will enable him to use these pretexts, terrorism, national emergency, and war, to further suppress dissent at home, narrow freedom of speech and expression, make warrantless searches and arrests of Americans, imprison opponents, and put more military in our streets. Please skip to terrorism. Please read that. Turn the page to 2, national emergency. Go to the bottom of that, war, and then to the conclusion at the bottom. Robert Wright and I'm quoting him, this is not to worry or depress you. My purpose is to encourage you to extra vigilant in guarding against Trump's further use
Thank you, Mr.
of
Feek.
these pretexts. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
All right, the next four we have is Amanda Seeby, Elizabeth Genley, James Gregg, and David Taylor. And filed Doug Renault and Dick Scouten will be the next two.
Is it Ms. Seeby? Is that correct?
Madam Vice Chair, Commissioners, I am Elizabeth Genley. I live in Forest Grove, and I represent Indivisible Forest Grove. Last Saturday, for No King's Day, more than 600 of us turned out peacefully to speak up for our rights and the rule of law. Support from passing motorists was phenomenal. We appreciate that the tabled compliance resolution and today's statement speak to protection of essential services for all people of Washington County without regard to race, ethnicity, gender identity, religious beliefs, sexual orientation, or disability. However, we fear the tabled resolution was also intended to appease the Trump administration's negative obsession with DEI. Consider the experience of Columbia University, which faced a similar threat: get rid of DEI programs or lose your federal funds. They complied, and the response? Another list of appalling demands. Appeasing bullies and authoritarians simply does not achieve the hoped-for results. Appeasers are simply seen as doormats and walked on. Here, if they perceive the county as giving in on DEI, What if they then demand we ban all DEI books from our libraries or attack our sheriff for not participating in ICE raids? These may happen anyway, sadly, but giving in to the first demand will not make them less likely. Instead, we support Commissioner Fai's entire letter as published in the Hillsborough Herald, including her call for development of a resolution that firmly supports the county's role in providing fair treatment and equal protection. We are proud of your work toward progressive and dignified policies. We expect, even in these difficult times, that Washington County's progressive norms will remain intact. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grenley. Is it Mr. Taylor? Is that correct? Mr. Gregg? Mr. Taylor?
Mr. Renault?
Mr. Renault. Sorry. My apologies.
That's okay. Good evening, commissioners and community members. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your statement this evening. However, like our previous commenter, I do have some questions. And I don't know if anyone will be answering any of these this evening, but I look forward to hearing the answers nonetheless. My first question is, who is the consultant who has been brought on to help draft this new proposal? I'm very curious who that person is going to be. I'm also very curious what kind of community engagement you are expecting to solicit in this process. I appreciate in your statement that you want community engagement in that process, and I hope that you are all sincere in that. Another thing, in response to our first community speaker tonight, DEI initiatives and programs are extraordinarily important. And while God may believe that every person is precious, the United States government and our society at large don't always seem as thoroughly convinced of that. So we should do everything we can to protect those programs. Also support Commissioner Fai and her work on this issue very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. And as you said, appeasing doesn't help. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Renault. And before you leave, I just want you to know we don't respond from the dais, but there will be notices on our website about upcoming ACRE meetings and things like that where your answers will be. And I'd be happy to talk to you afterwards as well.
Thank you.
Good evening, former Commissioner Dick Scouten. It's nice to see you.
Thank you.
Please start.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Chair Treese and commissioners. I have a lot of memories here in this room, and over the 20 years I was on the board. A lot of them are good. One of my best memories, and I think one of the most important decisions that we made as a board back in 2020 was to adopt Resolution in Order 2030. It's good policy. It speaks to fairness and justice, and it's something we didn't do lightly. We spent many, many, many months putting this together. We got a lot of input. This was not something that was done on an impulse, but it was important work and something that I think we could all be proud of, and we should be feeling very possessive of it. That aside, I think another important point is to remember is that there's really no logical relationship between this resolution and things like the proper administration of housing choice vouchers, child health, community development, et cetera. There really isn't. This condition is bullying, blackmail, pure and simple. And I think that there's no end to the bullying and blackmail and being compromised once you begin to do that. So I urge the board not to be compromised, not to be bullied, not to be blackmailed. Good old-fashioned American litigation. I mean, that's as American as apple pie. And speaking as now thinking back in my days as a former government lawyer, assistant city attorney in a couple of different places, my antennas are telling me that this is not legal. And I think that this board, if it could be creative, work with other public agencies, perhaps with Dan Rayfield, our state attorney general, figure out some way to square our resources and use them carefully to be able to fight this. So I hope that you can be creative. Thank you.
Thank you, former Commissioner Dick Scouten.
It's nice seeing all of you.
Appreciate it.
Come back every 5 years.
All right, the last one that I'll do one last call for the people who didn't do it. So is Mandy Seabury. No, James Gregg, David Taylor. So our last one is Linda Taylor. Linda, are you? Please go. And then we will move online, Madam Vice Chair, to our Zoom.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Taylor.
Good evening, Commissioners. I am Linda Taylor. I want to thank you for your leadership and ask you to do more, be more courageous, face up to this administration, and uphold our DEIA protections in Washington County, because there's no more legitimate moral or ethical grounds to give in to demands to abandon efforts for diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in one of the most diverse counties in our state. Since early days, the Trump administration has been clear that resistance would require sacrifice. Potential financial sacrifice cannot be weighed against the loss of priceless democratic norms in our country. Join with other jurisdictions and sue the federal government rather than giving in to pressure. Resist now and reduce the cascading effects of capitulation on other cities and social service organizations in our county. Do not force them to be in violation of the county regs if they honor their own organizational mandates and the DEIA requirements of other funding sources. Capitulation to this administration equals cowardice. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Ms. Taylor.
We'll now move to the Zoom. The first one we have is River Shull. River, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please go ahead for up to 2 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, first off, I would like to thank Commissioner, I think Fye. Sorry if my testimony today is a bit raw and all over the place. I am angry that I need to be here instead of being able to just grieve the death of my mother, to remind you, our leaders, that people should always matter more than money. But if morality is not something that matters to you, then let me remind you of two facts. Appeasement to a bully does not work. All you need to do is look at how Trump continues to demand more and more from Columbia University and all of the law firms that bent the knee. Two, you will face accountability. If millions of Americans, including tens of thousands of your community members, marching on No King's Day wasn't enough, then look at the fact that Target has admitted that the boycott caused by them cutting their DEIA policies has contributed to their current poor financial situation, and that the law firms that capitulated to Trump have not only lost important contracts such as Microsoft and McDonald's, but also many skilled lawyers. Ask yourself how much business revenue you're willing to lose, how many community partnerships you are willing to forego, how many residents and their tax revenue you are willing to send fleeing to a place with courage just for an appeasement that will fail to help this community. Right now, if you choose courage, we will fight with you. But if you choose appeasement, then from now until we vote you out of office, we will fight you every step of the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shull.
Next, we have Lucy Simmons. Lucy, can you hear us?
Yes.
Please go ahead for up to 2 minutes.
Good afternoon, Board of County Commissioners. For the record, my name is Lucy Simmons, and I'm the Outreach Coordinator at Home Plate Youth Services. For more than 20 years, Home Plate has been the only organization in Washington County providing both street outreach and age-appropriate drop-in services for youth experiencing homelessness. Today, I'm asking you to stand with your community by refusing to comply with illegal anti-DEI executive orders. These orders push a dangerous and false narrative that DEI work somehow conflicts with civil rights law, and truth, equity, and inclusion are the very foundation of those rights. From my perspective, since January, our team has had more conversations with youth contemplating suicide than in the past several years combined. We are supporting young people and families who fled violence abroad to seek asylum here, only to now consider fleeing again. As one youth told us, quote, "I am doomed either way." That is not a political talking point. That is a real person here in this community feeling hopeless. And that rise in fear isn't random. It's directly tied to hateful rhetoric coming from the federal level. And because of the diversity of the youth that we serve, 1 in 10 of the youth that we saw last year identified as transgender or non-binary. The majority identified as BIPOC, with fully 1/3 identifying as Latina. Complying with these orders will not shield Washington County from federal scrutiny. That pressure is already here. It is not going away, but it will deepen a growing sense of fear and abandonment among our most vulnerable neighbors. You have the chance to choose courage over compliance. I urge you to stand in solidarity and affirm clearly and publicly that diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility are not only legal, they are vital. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We really need to move on. I would appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, next, Madam Vice Chair, we have Maggie Myers. Maggie, can you hear us?
Yes.
Please go ahead for up to 2 minutes.
Okay, so I originally signed up to speak out about the county's proposal to rescind the DEI resolution. In light of the decision that was made earlier today, I would like to amend my testimony and say thank you to the board for listening to the community and for doing the right thing. I know the decision to cut DEI is being framed as necessary by many people right now, but we as citizens and voters know that what that really amounts to is fear and acquiescence to political pressure. With the current administration trying to force local governments to give in to fascist ideology, it is more important than ever for our local leaders to be brave and fight this administration where it counts at the state, city, and county level. And for us, that fight starts with keeping DEI in Washington County. So I'm glad to hear that there will be more work. And we will be here as a community to both support and hold the board accountable for its next steps in working with the community. I believe in us as a community, and I believe we have the ability to maintain a resolution that upholds our values and makes our county a safe, equitable, and welcoming place for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Myers.
Madam Vice Chair, I do not see the others who signed up online, so that would conclude our public comment.
Thank you very much. And thank you to all of you who provided testimony tonight. And thank you to all of you for allowing us to move quickly. I do appreciate that as well. So this concludes our first public comment section. Our next item is the consent agenda. Ms. Angie, can you provide an update on the amended agenda, please?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Treese. So we have amended the agenda this evening and added item D23. D23 is the transfer of child support services from the county to the state. And so this is an IGA. Staff have been working with the state, and this is an emergency item so that we can reflect that these services are occurring at the state level versus the county level moving forward.
Thank you, Ms. Angie. So moving forward with the consent agenda, we have one set of minutes from CWS, Clean Water Services. We have 5 items from Clean Water Services. We have 2 items from Fleet Facilities and Parks. We have 3 items from Juvenile. We have 3 from Health and Human Services, 4 from LUT, 1 from Finance, and 1 from the CAO office. Does any commissioner wish to pull anything from the consent agenda?
Can I just clarify the mechanics of getting item D23 on the agenda? Did the county administrators report on that? Is that the extent of what we need to do, or do we need to suspend a rule to be able to do that?
So thank you for that question, Commissioner Snyder, and for members of the public. This item is a very last-minute item. Last minute, and the staff had raised this to the board this afternoon during work session. It was, to use the phrase, sausage-making live time with the commission in work session as we were problem-solving is the reality. We have worked through this with County Counsel Alex Barnett, and this action does align with your board rules.
Okay, so we don't need to do anything
You
else?
do not need to do anything.
Thank you for that clarification.
I would just like to add to that my understanding is that the staff got the needed information for this issue very late today. So and that means from the state. So
Yes, we have been working last
clarifying.
minute. And I don't want to, thank you for that, Commissioner Treese. And I also really just want to lift up and appreciate the state's partnership in this too, because they've been working very quickly. For members of the public who are watching, Child Support Enforcement Services is actually a service of the state. Counties do have the option of delivering that service on behalf of the state. As part of our budget balancing scenarios this year, the county had opted to turn back that service to the state as the county did not have the general fund capacity to help subsidize it. So this is the mechanics of that action. I will further also indicate there are 16 child support enforcement staff that were employed by the county. All 16 staff were given the option of becoming state employees versus county employees. Of those 16, 15 opted to do that, and we wish the other employee well wishes into their retirement. So while yes, this is a change of employment for employees, really I'm grateful that this was a smooth transition.
Thank you, Ms. Angie. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the amended consent agenda.
Just for clarification, before we even second that, D3 is also, am I correct that D3 is being pulled as well?
That is correct, Commissioner Snyder.
Okay, so that needs to be part of the motion as well?
Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to make sure we get everything. I mean, we've got a lot going on in the consent agenda. We've added an item. 2 were pulled before tonight. 1 was pulled 5 minutes before the meeting started. There's a lot going on there.
Let me clarify one statement here, please. For tonight's consent agenda, we have 20 items. Items D3, D7, and D9 were pulled by staff and will be rescheduled. And we added item D, 23, 22 and 3?
Yes.
23.
Yes.
Got it. As mentioned by CAO Angie. So that should provide clarity, and I apologize for not delineating that earlier. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? All those in favor? Thank you. All right, I appreciate that. It was a unanimous vote to approve the consent agenda. We are now going to move to public hearings. We have 4 public hearings for this evening. The first comes from Clean Water Services, consideration of a resolution, consideration of a resolution and order modifying reimbursement resolution and order 23-10 and establishing the final reimbursement charge for Southwest Bull Mountain Road, Nemarnik, Roshak, the sanitary sewer reimbursement district project number 7251. We have Rick Shanley, who is going to be our acting CEO and general manager of Clean Water Services, to present with his team, correct?
Actually, Vice Chair, I'm happy to introduce Jeff Hart and Steve Choate. They'll be presenting tonight.
Great, thank you.
All right, so I'm Jeff Hart. I am a principal engineer for Clean Water Services. I'm also the interim division manager for the capital planning division.
I am Steve Choate, project manager in the capital planning and working with the LAD and RD projects.
Perfect. So, as Vice Chair Treese, you were talking through it. This is Bull Mountain Road Sanitary Sewer Reimbursement District. So 2 years ago, Clean Water Services came to the board and asked for approval to form the reimbursement district. And what this is for is up on Bull Mountain Road, there are properties that were on septic and trying to get them set up to be on sewer. There it goes. Okay, so this is the area we're talking about. So on Bull Mountain, this is just outside of Tigard, kind of in that triangle area between Beaverton, Tigard, and King City, up on Bull Mountain Road. So that red highlighted area is the area we're talking about that is on septic and was formed to have the ability to move to sewer.
So the district was formed with 4 benefiting properties, and we have what we call off-site, which you can see is the 200,099, which is what it takes to get up to the point where we can benefit the property owners. And the qualifying project costs came in at 186,162, which was pretty within 10% of what we originally had estimated.
Perfect.
So it breaks down the cost distribution. So with the 4 lots, the reimbursement charge of 46,540, and again, that is within $870 or so of what we originally estimated for the property owners. There is an early connection incentive of the 8964, and so if the property owners take advantage of that, their net connection cost is 37,576.
So I think that was pretty spot on. So you said within $800 of the original estimate that 2 years ago, we came to get approved to form the reimbursement district.
So the owner options, if they connect within the first year, that's when they're eligible for the early connection incentive, which will help them out tremendously. And then the private plumbing finance is also available if they do connect within the first year. They can defer the connection. There's no time limit on connection on a reimbursement district. The interest does accrue over time, so everybody is aware. And initially, the owner support was 2 in support, and then 2 that did not comment in the original.
Okay.
Any questions?
Thank you for your presentation. Are there questions from the board? Commissioner Fye.
Thank you, Vice Chair Treese. When I was prepping for this material, I was hoping I didn't get a couple of slides, and I was hoping that I would understand it when you were presenting, but I don't think I quite followed. So I'm wondering if you could go back to the slide that talked about the Bull Mountain Community Plan, the one that had the map, the slide. Okay, now go. Okay, you were on the right slide, actually. Go back. That one I followed, your explanation. But I don't think I quite followed the reimbursement district boundary, the 4 benefited properties. Could you point that out? Is it all the red ones, and then how do they?
You can't, that's right.
Not when you shoot it up there.
Yeah. Do you want to try to explain that, what we're looking at here?
Yeah, I apologize. Looks like the highlights of the properties didn't show up very well, but the existing sewer lines are the red lines. So at the lower left, you can see where we extend out with a light blue line, and that is the one that is called the off-site, that corresponds with the off-site costs. Then it turns into the dark blue line, which is the qualifying project cost. That's where it was extended for the property owners. So right there, it's 3 property owners on the right of that, and the one on the left of that are the benefiting properties.
Right, so you can see with the red lines there that a majority of those lots have the ability to connect to sewer, or are already connected to sewer. It's just those 4 there that didn't have that ability.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Are there further questions? No questions. I would like to open a public hearing and ask Clerk Moss if anyone wishes to testify.
Thank you, Vice Chair Treese. I did not see anyone sign up in advance of the meeting. Would any member in the auditorium wish to provide public comments, public hearing, as you've heard from staff? And just raise your hands for coming forward. Not seeing any in the room. Would any member via Zoom wish to provide public comment on this public hearing, as you've heard? Give you just a moment to utilize the raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. I will close the public hearing, and I would like to ask for a motion and second to adopt the attached resolution and order establishing the final reimbursement charges for the Bull Mountain Road, Nemaarnik-Roshak Sanitary Sewer Reimbursement District, or the Reimbursement District.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second, but I also want to make a brief comment, which we didn't.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. We didn't. Was this just completed in the last couple months? I feel like I drove this every day I was coming here in the morning for like a 4 or 5 month period. Is that the right project? Like it finished maybe a month ago?
That is correct.
Okay.
I have the exact date if you would like that.
I don't need the exact date, but I'm just trying to connect real life to
Gotcha.
what I see in the environment. So I did second it, and that's my.
Thank you for your question. All those in favor? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Thank you. Any against? No. We have a unanimous decision 4-0. The motion carries. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next public hearing is the consideration of proposed title change to Ordinance 907. Do I have a motion and a second to read Ordinance 907 by title only?
Or I would second Commissioner Snyder. I can second it.
We have a motion by Commissioner Snyder and a second by Commissioner Fye. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand and saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Alex Barnett, County Counsel, would you please read Ordinance 907 by title only?
An ordinance revising Chapter 8.04 of the Washington County Code relating to certificate fees.
Thank you very much, County Counsel. There will be a staff report from Mira Samantel, Director of Health and Human Services, and Aaron Stein, Interim Solid Waste Recycling Manager.
Thank you. Good evening, Vice Chair Treese, Board of County Commissioners. It'll actually just be myself tonight. Aaron Stein is at a conference for the Association of Oregon Recyclers. So for the record, my name is Mira Samantali, she, her pronouns, and I'm the Director of Health and Human Services. Just a brief presentation tonight for this evening's public hearing and your board's consideration of the proposed title change to Ordinance number 907, revising Chapter 8.04 of the Washington County Code to increase annual certificate fees. Oops, a little too quick. Okay, so as part of the county's fiscal year 25-26 budget adopted by our board just last week on June 17th, the Department of Health and Human Services proposed an increase to the annual certificate fee collected quarterly from garbage and recycling collection companies, which currently hold a certificate to provide service within unincorporated Washington County. The annual certificate fee is assessed on gross receipt revenue, which is collected on a quarterly basis from each garbage and recycling collection company. Since the inception of Solid Waste Control Code 8.04350 back in 1969, Washington County has collected a 3% annual fee. The proposed fee increase would change the fee from 3% to 4% and thus requires a change to the code to finalize. Increasing the certificate fee on gross receipt revenue from 3 to 4% would bring in an estimated $380,000 this next fiscal year in additional revenue and would support ongoing maintenance of core programs and services provided by the Solid Waste and Recycling Division due to programmatic expenses outpacing revenue received. So acknowledging that an increase in certificate fee impacts those who use our garbage and recycling system, Solid Waste and Recycling staff highlighted the impacts of this change as part of their annual rate review findings and came before your board on June 3rd during work session and also subsequently on June 17th during your regular board meeting. Staff's initial assessment anticipates that the average single-family household would see an increase of about 18 cents per month on their bill as a result of the proposed change. If the certificate fee is increased to 4%, unincorporated Washington County would still maintain one of the lowest fees assessed on gross receipts in the metro region because most comparable local governments are assessed at about 5%. So the goal is to implement this code change in tandem with your board-approved rate adjustments as a result of our 2024 annual rate review process. Approved rate changes and the requested Washington County Code 8.04.350 code change would go into effect on August 1st. So in closing, staff does request that the Washington County Board of County Commissioners hold a public hearing and adopt the change to Washington County Code 8.04.350 as set forth in Exhibit A of the resolution and order to become effective on August 1st. And that concludes the staff report.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mantel. Are there questions from the board on the presentation? We had a very thorough work session on this, so thank you for that.
Yes.
So at this point, what I'd like to do is open a public hearing. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone that wishes to testify?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Is there anyone in the auditorium that would like to testify on this public hearing? As you've heard the staff report, give you a moment to raise your hand, start coming forward. Not seeing any in the room. Would any member online via Zoom wish to provide public comment on this public hearing? Give you just a moment to utilize the raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you very much. I would like to close the public hearing. Do we have a motion and a second to adopt the ordinance 907?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? No discussion. I'd like to call for a vote by roll call. Clerk Moss?
Certainly, Madam Vice Chair. Commissioner Fye?
Aye.
Commissioner Willie?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Vice Chair Treese?
Yes. The motion carries 4-0.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next public hearing is to consider the replacement of the local option library levy for fiscal year 2026-27 through fiscal year 2030-31 and adopt ballot title and explanatory statement. Aaron Calvert and Philip Bransford, Communications Officer, will make the presentation. I see Mr. Bransford here, and I see Aaron in the back for questions. So please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners. For the record, Philip Bransford, Communications Officer, he, him pronouns. And I am here in place of our outstanding library manager, Lisa Tattersall, who's enjoying much earned leave this week. So I'll do my best to try to fill those large shoes. Staff are here today to request that the board adopt a resolution and order with its accompanying ballot title and explanatory statement exhibits, calling for a replacement levy to support, I should probably advance this, calling for a replacement levy to support countywide library services on the November 4th, 2025 ballot. The resolution and order, ballot title, and explanatory statements are included in your board packet along with the preliminary library levy proposal. Libraries are Washington County's living rooms. Public libraries create a sense of social connection and offer lifelong learning and development, preparing children for school and fostering a strong workforce in our county. Libraries are a beloved community asset and deliver vital services in a time of increasing complexity, increasingly complex community needs. The library levy provides critical funding for our cooperative library system in Washington County. Public library service is delivered in partnership among our county, 9 cities, 3 nonprofit organizations. WCCLS is a department of the county and provides funding, support services, and critical infrastructure to link these interdependently operated libraries into one countywide system that is available to all residents. The current library levy provides 45% of revenue for WCCLS in fiscal year 2024-25, and the remainder of WCCLS's funding is a transfer from the county's general fund, which is determined through the annual budgeting process that your board has just concluded. The current levy rate is 22 cents per 1,000 of assessed value, and the current levy expires June 2026. The library levy proposal recommends replacing the current 22-cent levy with a 15-cent increase, so that would go from 22 cents to 37 cents per 1,000 of assessed value. The new levy, if referred by your board, would be on the ballot in November, like we mentioned, of this year, and if it is approved by voters would be effective July 2026 and run through June 2031.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I have more, though, Madam Chair.
Please go ahead.
The proposed library levy replacement would help maintain and provide access to core services, including reading and learning support for kids and teens, including homework help for their students. Central services that effectively link libraries together so users can borrow collections and reserve materials for pickup at their nearest library. Open hours and access to books and materials for everyone in the community. Children's reading events, including story times for babies, toddlers, and preschoolers. So the financials look like this. The library local option levy, for your consideration, recommends a levy replacement rate of 37 cents per thousand of assessed value, which is an increase of 15 cents, as we mentioned, over the 22-cent current rate. The estimates, this estimates the total 5-year revenue at $188.9 million and estimates that the first year revenue for FY 2026-27 to be about $34.7 million. For the average homeowner in Washington County, the first year's estimated levy cost, so that first year of the new levy's life, would be about $129. And the estimated monthly cost of the first year's levy would, for that same average homeowner, would be about $10.75. Please note that the total cost, if voters replace the levy at the 22-cent level with the proposed 37-cent level levy, is what we're proposing. The annual increase, therefore, in cost for the average homeowner would be about $54 per year, or an additional $4.55. So $54 per year would be that increase, that incremental difference between the 22-cent current rate and the 37-cent rate. So with that, board, the staff are coming to you for direction this evening. Does the board wish to adopt the library local option levy ballot title and explanatory statement and direct staff to place this measure before the voters at the November 4th, 2025 election?
Thank you, Mr. Bransford. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I'd like to open a public hearing.
Thank you, Vice Chair Treese. I did not see anyone sign up in advance for this public hearing. Is there any member in the auditorium? Mr. Feek?
Presiding officer and Vice Chair Treese and commissioners. In 1966, I moved to Forest Grove. My wife and I had our first child, 66, in 1971. One of the first things that we did, we went to the Rogers Library, and we ended up getting to know the librarian very well, and we check out books once a week. And we ended up reading to them. I was never read to as a kid, but we read to our kids, and they loved the library. So we have been strong supporters of library services, and as you know, I have a doctor's of education in reading education. And so it's very important for people to become knowledgeable, informed, and critical in their thinking. And one way to do that is to go to a library or check out books through the interlibrary loan, which you can get from any library, because my two granddaughters went through that, wherever that Buffett was, and all the libraries in Washington County. We went to all of them but 2. And so we had a great time, and you can check out a book in any library and return it to your home library, and it'll go back to that library without having to drive there. So what I'm saying is, even though I talked to Colleen Winters, she's the librarian in Forest Grove, last night I made the same public comment I did to you last night to the city councilors in Forest Grove. But I talked to Colleen Winters, and she then was saying, well, you know, she kind of wondered whether we should pass the new police station versus the library. What a choice. I thought we should put the November ballot for the police station back on since it failed. She said, well, maybe we won't pass the library budget. What a conflict for me. We need both, so I'm in favor of this, and I will support the new police station later.
Thank you, Mr. Feek. Do we have anybody else? Clerk Moss.
I don't see anyone else raising their hand. Oh, ma'am, please come forward.
Good evening.
My My name's Erin Rasmussen, and I live in Beaverton, and my kids and I are really proud supporters of the library, happy library users. They use the youth services. They're fantastic. I was listening really carefully to the change in numbers because I'm budget conscious like everybody else, and I'm really really in support of this. I think it's a great idea, and I think that, at least for my household, it'd be affordable change.
Thank you very much for your testimony, Ms. Rasmussen.
All right, is there any member on Zoom that wishes to provide public comment on this public hearing? Give you just a moment to utilize the raise hand function. Not seeing any hands, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you. I will close the public hearing, and I would like to ask for a motion for and a second to adopt. I'll give you time to talk. And second, to adopt a resolution and order with its accompanying ballot title and explanatory statement exhibits that call for a November 4th, 2025 election regarding the Washington County Cooperative Library Services proposal for a 5-year local option levy, fiscal year 2026-27 to fiscal year 2030-31. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second. I thought about beating him to that motion since you worked on this levy, Commissioner.
Do we have discussion?
Yes, we have a motion and a second. So yes. Mr. Feek, I'd like you to respond to your librarian to give her the book Good to Great by Jim Collins. It's a little bit old, but he talks about the tyranny of the or as the enemy of yes. And the purpose is that we need to not be thinking about things of one or the other. We need to always be looking at how do we get to yes. And that would be my comment to not only supporting the library levy, but supporting the police station in Forest Grove.
Thank you. Any other comments?
It's a yes and.
A yes and.
I don't have further comment. We've spent a lot of time on this topic. I am ready to move forward.
I have one last comment, and that is that I appreciate the amount of work that everyone has done in bringing this levy forward. There are many hours spent and lots of thought and heart that went into designing this levy. So I thank all of our staff and the people that worked on this. With that, I'd like to take a vote. All those in favor of this motion, please raise your hand. Thank you very much. Any opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you very much for your vote. All right. So the motion carries, and our next hearing is to consider the replacement of the public safety local option levy for fiscal year 2026-27 through fiscal year 2030-31, and review and adopt ballot title and explanatory statement. Erin Calvert will now be our Assistant County Administrator, will now present by PowerPoint. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Vice Chair Treese and Commissioners. My name for the record is Erin Calvert, one of the Assistant County Administrators, and I'm here today to request that the Board adopt a resolution in order with the accompanying ballot title and explanatory statement calling for a replacement to the current public safety local option levy on the November 4th, 2025 ballot. The resolution in order, ballot title, and explanatory statement are included in your board packet along with the preliminary public safety proposal. The Public Safety Local Option Levy provides critical funding to the Sheriff's Office, District Attorney's Office, Community Corrections, and Juvenile Services. Each of these departments plays a distinct but interdependent roles in maintaining public safety in the community. Of course, they are part of a complex and interconnected system that extends beyond the traditional image of law enforcement. A well-functioning public safety system requires coordinated support across all components to ensure that justice is timely and responsive to the needs of our growing community. In this fiscal year, the current levy provides about 16% of the revenue for the criminal justice system. The current levy rate of 47 cents per $1,000 of assessed value and the current levy will expire in June of 2026. The public safety levy proposal recommends replacing the current 47-cent levy with a 19-cent increase to 66 cents per $1,000 of assessed value. The new levy, if referred by your board to be on the ballot in November of 2025, and if approved by voters, would be effective July of 2026 through June of 2031. The proposed public safety levy would help maintain and enhance a range of countywide public safety services that include investigating and prosecuting theft, car theft, break-ins, and graffiti, prosecuting child abuse and child pornography cases, combating the impact of deadly drugs like fentanyl and dismantling drug trafficking organizations, preventing domestic violence and expanding emergency assistance for victims harmed by it, fully funding the jail to keep those with more dangerous charges in court-ordered custody, and preventing crime with mental health response team, job training, employment, and addiction services to keep youth and adults from returning to the justice system. The proposed public safety local option levy recommends a levy replacement rate of 66 cents per $1,000 of assessed value, which is an increase of 19 cents over the current rate of 47 cents. This estimates a total five-year revenue at $329.3 million, and estimates that the first year of revenue for fiscal year 26-27 at $60.5 million. For the average homeowner in Washington County, the first year's estimated levy cost would be around $230, and the estimated monthly cost in the first year for that same average homeowner would be about $19.17. And just to note again that this is the total cost if voters vote to replace the 47-cent levy with the proposed 66-cent levy. The annual increase in cost for the average homeowner would be just over $71 per year, or an additional $5.92 per month. So with that, does the board wish to hold a public hearing and wish to adopt the public safety local option levy ballot title and explanatory statement, and direct staff to place this measure before voters on the November 4th, 2025 ballot? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Calvert. Are there any questions? Seeing no questions, I would like to open a public hearing. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to testify?
I did not see anyone sign up in advance of the meeting. Would any member in the auditorium wish to provide public comment on this public hearing? As you've heard from staff, just give you a moment to raise your hand, start coming forward. Not seeing any in the room. Would any member via Zoom wish to provide public comment on this public hearing? Give you just a moment to utilize the raise hand function. Not seeing any hands, Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. I will close the public hearing, and I would like to ask for a motion and second to adopt a resolution and order with its accompanying ballot title and explanatory statement exhibits that call for a November 4th, 2025 election regarding the proposal for a 5-year public safety local option levy fiscal year 2026-27 to fiscal year 2030-31.
So moved.
Motion from Phi, second by Snyder. Are there any comments?
I would like to just speak about, I personally was more involved as one of the two commissioners working on this, and I know I really had to be brought up to speed a little bit by the team, and they did I'd say the whole team did a great job of getting me where I needed to be most helpful, and I really enjoyed working with, partnering with Commissioner Phi from a commission perspective on this work, and I saw the team do a tremendous amount of work, and in partnership with both our appointed leaders in some of those departments and our elected leaders in others. So I just want to thank all of them for their contributions, which were significant as we've been working through this.
Thank you, Commissioner Snyder. Any other comments?
Yeah,
Commissioner
I'll
Phi?
jump in here and express my gratitude. I don't have any questions. We've been working on this ballot measure for a while now, and it's been a good experience for me. This is my first time working on a levy. I'm in my second term, so I wasn't here when you all did the last 2020 ballot initiative. It was really a good experience, and I say that because I had a lot of questions. You know, even though I'm an elected official you can't separate myself from when I'm wearing the elected hat. So I did a lot of putting my own Washington County resident hat. I put on a hat that said, wait a minute, think with your budget, think with your wallet, Nafisa, and had a lot of questions and reactions about this is a replacement levy, not, so that means we're actually going to increase. And I was really hesitant in the beginning, and not hesitant in a way that says let's not increase. I just kept asking, are these numbers correct? And what I really saw was cost of things were increasing, inflation was another thing, and you really demonstrated how incredible it is, how important it is to really increase and replace the levy. You didn't, I appreciate that journey of, yeah, it could be a renewal levy, but this is the deficit the county faces. This is the red. This is the number in red. And I know for sure for me, I had a lot of conversation with my own staff and with you and with Tanya and everyone, because at first I was like, is there a way to bring this red number to the black? And is it really a real number? And you taught me that it is a real number and we really need to increase. And here's the research. And I appreciate the methodical process you went through of actually going to the community and, asking them what they think and figuring out, are the community in Washington County comfortable with this increase? And I'm so glad that the community said yes, because we're not deciding ourselves. We're actually, this is a data informed from the community. In Washington County, we pride ourselves to be one of the most diverse counties, and we're also one of the most safest counties in Oregon. So I think to continue that, this is necessary, and I look forward to the Washington County community supporting this levy and passing it, and just look forward to really give the financial need and assistance our law enforcement need. So I look forward to it, and thank you for the education to you and Philip. You guys did a wonderful job of bringing me along and teaching me all that, and I'm ready to go champion for this levy, and I'm sure it's going to pass with flying colors, and I look forward to working on the campaign side. I hear now we're on switching hats, so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fye. Are there any other comments? I'd just like to express my appreciation for the work, and we're ready to go. So that's great. I'd like to take the vote now. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Say aye. Any opposed? Great. There's no one in opposition. We are moving forward. We have a unanimous vote for this levy. Thank you, Ms. Calvert. We are now moving on to the action section, and we have 2 items tonight. The first one is to approve the resolution and order to set the fiscal year 25-26 maximum annual assessment of the Metzger Park Local Improvement District. Carl Schweitzer is here, Park Superintendent, to present. Thank you, Carl, Mr. Schweitzer.
Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, Vice Chair Treese. Appreciate that. As you said, my name is Carl Schweitzer. I'm the Parks Division Manager, and I'm here to present information to you tonight in support of our request for your board to approve the resolution in order to set the fiscal year 2025 maximum annual assessment of the Metzger Park Local Improvement District. Have a few slides for you shortly.
This is where you go. Nah, nah, nah.
So for Carl, we didn't get the presentation sent to us, so I do not have it.
Sent it to you.
Can you
It should
speak
be
to
in
us
your
from your-
inbox. It's probably a few weeks ago.
I'll search if you give me some time.
Can you speak to us from your slides, Mr.
Yes, I
Thank
can do that. With tonight's presentation, I'm going to share with you a little general information about Metzger Park, talk about the process of approving the maximum assessment, and reviewing the proposed fiscal year 2025-26 maximum annual assessment and budget, and ask for the board to consider approving the resolution in order. So the general information is that Metzger Park is a wonderful 7-acre community park in western Washington County, western unincorporated Washington County. It was deeded to the county in 1921 for park purposes. The Metzger Park Advisory Board was formed in 1972, and the Metzger Park Local Improvement District was formed in 1975. It has long been the primary financial support for operations and maintenance of that park, and starting in fiscal year 24-25, it is the singular funding source for the operation and maintenance of Metzger Park. There we go. See if I can skip ahead.
Thank you for being so agile.
Get to the right slide here.
I'm moving it, Carl, so you just tell me which one.
Oh, thank you. Slide number 3, 4. Thank you. This is the boundary of the Metzger Park Local Improvement District. You can see in green there that it is centered, Metzger Park, which is centered with the Local Improvement District. Next slide, please. So some general information about Metzger Park. It is a heavily used and much loved asset for the Metzger community. It has many amenities, playgrounds, sport courts, forested area, and we've done some really neat projects there over the last couple of years. You can see on some of these photographs. We had 2025, just this May, we completed a new pathway improvement project where the old 50-year-old pathways were removed and some additional pathway was included. So now that there's a loop circulation system inside of the park, which has been fantastically received by the community. We had our 2025 Metzger Park Easter egg hunt there as well, and you can see some of the other amenities in these photographs. Next slide, please. Another project I thought I'd mention really quickly is we had a great partnership with Tualatin Soil and Water Conservation District on developing a native plant demonstration garden at Metzger Park. You can see the before and after. It actually is more grown up than that now, but in the future it will be a beautiful place for the community to learn about native plantings and maybe replicate that in their own backyard. So Metzger Park is a vibrant place that's warm and welcoming. Next slide, please. Thank you. So some information about the assessment. As I mentioned earlier, the Local Improvement District was formed in 1975. The maximum annual assessment has increased 5 times since its inception. The last one was in 2024. The current maximum annual assessment is $318,000, and we're proposing to maintain that same maximum annual assessment of $318,000 for this next fiscal year. Next slide, please. So the process is pursuant to Washington County Code 3.20. The board is authorized to establish the maximum annual assessment for the operation and maintenance of this public facility within a local improvement district. The board approves this annually, and that's why I'm here with you tonight. A public hearing is typically required when we ask for an increase to the maximum annual assessment. We are not requesting an annual assessment, so we are just asking your board to set the maximum annual assessment for fiscal year 25-26. Next slide, please. So maintaining the maximum annual assessment for next year will provide sufficient resources for us to operate and maintain Metzger Park. You can see the numbers on the right. I won't read through all of those, but with that maximum assessment being held constant, that with some resources that we have in the fund balance can pay for the next year's operations and maintenance of the park. That will change. We will probably, next time you see me on this subject, we will probably be talking about an increase to the maximum assessment. But with these resources, we believe we can adequately operate and maintain the park.
The materials and supplies number from 24-25 as high as it is there because of that path project or something else?
Thank you. Good question. Yes. So the number in blue up there that you're referring to shows an additional $200,000 that we moved from the fund balance into our operating balance to accomplish that pathway project. Next slide, please. So I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the maximum assessment. Otherwise, ask for your consideration on approval of the resolution in order to set the 25-26 maximum annual assessment of the Metzger Park Local Improvement District.
Thank you, Mr. Schweitzer. Do we have any additional questions? Questions at all?
I move to approve the resolution in order to set the fiscal year 2025-26 maximum annual assessment of the Metzger Park Local Improvement District.
Second.
Thank you very much for the motion and the second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hands or say aye. Thank you very much. It was unanimous, 4-0. Appreciate the presentation and we all enjoy that park. So.
Thank you, Commissioners.
So our next action item is to accept the Salary Commission report for Chair and Commissioners' salaries for 2025, 26, and 26-27. Faisal Azim and Madia Amjad, and please correct my pronunciation. Madiha, thank you very much, are here along with Aaron Calvert for the presentation. And even before we get started, I do want to express my appreciation, and I'm certain the appreciation of the board for the work that you did on this project. And we really appreciate the fact that you stood up as community members and professionals to provide us with this. Thank you.
Good evening, Vice Chair Treese and Commissioners. Once again, my name is Erin Calvert, and I'm one of the Assistant County Administrators, and actually I'm filling in for Ann Ober, another Assistant County Administrator tonight who is on a well-deserved vacation this week. I'm pleased to join the Chair and Vice Chair of the Salary Commission tonight. The action item before you is to accept the Salary Commission report submitted by the Washington County Salary Commission for the recent work the Commission has completed in recommending salaries for the Board Chair and Commissioners for fiscal years 2025-26 and 2026-27. As your board is aware, the Salary Commission operates under the authority provided from an amendment to Section 30 Sub E of the Washington County Charter. This amendment established an independent Salary Commission consisting up to 5 qualified human resource professionals to determine county commissioner salaries. They do this by a majority vote on odd-numbered years and provide documentation of their decisions which aligns with how non-charter counties establish elected officials' salaries as found in statute. It is my pleasure to introduce and turn the presentation over to Salary Commission Chair Faisal Azim and Vice Chair Madiha Amjad.
Good evening, Vice Chair and the board members. My name is Madiha Amjad and I serve as the Vice Chair of the Salary Commission. On behalf of the Salary Commission, I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to the board and to the County Administrator for generously taking your time out, answering all our questions, and clarifying your roles and responsibilities to us. We also are deeply grateful to the county staff for their ongoing support throughout this process. I would like to thank Clerk to the Board Kevin Moss, Facilitator Tony Tabora, Senior Assistant County Counsel Adriana Ortega, Assistant County Administrator Ann Ober, Consultant Mary Rowe, and County Counsel Courtney Duke-Dreesen. Their guidance, patience, and the data they provided were essential in helping us complete our work. Let me begin with a brief overview of the process and findings of the Commission. The Commission's primary goal was to ensure that the salaries are determined in a manner that is fair, transparent, and objective. And to that end, we reviewed the findings of the previous 2 Washington County Salary reports and conducted our own independent interviews with county leadership. These interviews were helpful in deepening our understanding of the scope of work and responsibilities of the board. In evaluating potential sources for salary comparison, the commission considered both internal and external data. One of our key deliberations was whether internal employee salaries offered a suitable basis for comparison. After a thorough evaluation of the responsibilities of the board in relation to the internal county employees, the commission unanimously concluded that the internal comparators were not appropriate for this purpose. As a result, we did not use internal salary data in determining the salaries for the chair and the county commissioner. At this point, I'll invite the chair of the Salary Commission to present the final salary recommendation and additional context regarding the commission's decision-making process. Thank you.
Thanks, Madhiya Amjad, and thanks, Erin, for the introduction. Good evening, Board of Commissions. My name is Faisal Azim, and I served as the chair of this year's Salary Commission. Continuing on the process that we followed, for potential external salary comparators, the Salary Commission considered using counties similar to Washington County in population, budgets, and geographical location. Counties from Idaho and California were ruled out due to wider cost of living and demographic differences. We focused on counties in Oregon and Washington with similar population, specifically within 60% of or below, 60% below or above the Washington County's population.
Mr. Azim, did you want to forward the slide?
Yes, can we go to page 15 of the report?
I believe that you have the clicker.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, thank you, Kevin.
Thank you so much. So, talking about the external comparators, so after review, the final counties that were selected were Clackamas, Lane, Marion, and Multnomah counties in Oregon, and Pierce, Snohomish, and Spokane counties in Washington. Thurston County and Clark counties were not included due to either being too small or not having full-time counselors. We also looked at the cities for potential comparators and decided to include City of Portland in our comparator, primarily because of the size similarities, as well as the service scope, which was very similar to the unincorporated areas of Washington County. We also considered other local cities like Beaverton, Hillsborough, and Tigard, but decided not to include them because of their smaller size. This commission also chose to apply geographical cost of living adjustment, something that the past Washington County commissions had not done. This adjustment was based on the freely available public data for the cost of living. The Salary Commission also concluded that the chair's role is broader and should command a higher salary than the other commissioners. After deliberation, the Salary Commission felt that the appropriate salary of the chair is 10% above the salaries of the other board commissioners. This happens to match the recommendation of the previous Salary Commissions. Just looking at the table that people are able to see on the presentation. So here it's showing what are all the counties that we had in the external comparators, what the salary of the commissions are, what geographical adjustment we used, and what the adjusted salary was. Can we go to page 4 of the report for the actual recommendation? So, based on looking at the external comparators and looking at both the average and the mean for both the adjusted salaries as well as the non-adjusted salaries, the Salary Commission recommended that the Salary Commission saw that the salaries for 2024 for the board commissions were slightly lower than the external comparators, and we thought a 2% increase is merited. From 2024 to 2025, we were looking at initially doing some COLA-based adjustment, but given the purse pickup that was included in the salaries for the employees as well as the elected officials, we decided no additional increase is merited. So as a result, for 2025, we are recommending a 2% year-to-year salary increase for the commissioners. And Same for the chair, given that the chair is 10% higher, which was similar to the previous year. The increase for the chair will also be 2% higher year to year. For the next year, 2026, we are recommending a COLA adjustment, the same that is granted to the management, administrative, and professional personal systems of Washington County. I think this concludes our recommendation. If we are available for any questions or any concerns that people have.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
I just want to thank you profoundly for the amount of effort that you put in. I know the original schedule was aggressive, and you probably could have done a less thorough job and kept that schedule, but you all chose to do, I thought, very thorough work, and I just appreciate the amount of effort and thoughtfulness that you and the whole commission put in to the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And maybe just one more comment. So we didn't go through the whole report just to save time, but we did compile the report to also include our process, which both shows kind of how we went through this, as well as hopefully can be one of the ways that the next commission can do things, and hopefully will be helpful for future commissions as well.
Are there any other comments, questions?
I'll just express my gratitude to you all, to the whole commission. Thank you very much. And I thought you got, I don't remember the first time, but I thought the questions you all asked was very hard. I felt like I was on the spot. So, and then the follow-ups, I just want you to know I was sweating afterwards. So thank you for the thoughtful questions that you've asked and the thoughtful process that you went through. And I am comfortable to accept your recommendation.
Thank you.
I'd also like to express my gratitude and thank you for calling out the long list of staff people that worked on this as well. That was very thoughtful of you and very much appreciated. I also want to say that I've read your report in its entirety. It was very thorough. There were explanations for each step that was taken and the rationale for why. I really appreciated the depth of work that went into this. So again, thank you. And with that, I would like to, are there any other questions or comments? Okay, do I have a motion here to, I see Commissioner Snyder ready to go here. Okay, do I have a motion to accept the report as stated? The Salary Commission report for the chair and commissioner salaries for 2025, 26, and 26, 27.
I move to accept.
Second.
Thank you. All those in,
We have Commissioner Willie directing us here.
all those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye. Thank you. And no opposition? Raise your hand. Nope. Okay. We passed the motion. And again, thank you for your work on this. And there's another person in the room, Faisal, that I would like to thank as well for your work in the back there. So appreciate it. Okay.
Vice Chair Treese, I thank you. We're pointing to Faza Noor, and so I just wanted to also just highlight her because I know that she does not always like to be recognized, but she quietly works, and she is such a valued member of the Washington County team.
And it's my understanding that she helped us recruit people to do this work, and that was I'm very grateful for that as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. We are finished with our action items. We're now moving into our second public communication period. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone signed up?
We do, Madam Vice Chair. I'll call up three this time: Karen Schmidlin, Jill Latre, and Roger Law.
Good evening, Vice Chair and Commissioners. My name is Karen Schmidlin. longtime resident of Banks, Oregon. Tonight, I'd like to bring your attention to a recent hearing before the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence in Washington, D.C., held on March 26th of this year. The story was covered in several articles, which I've included one for you, the entire article from the Epoch Times by Eva Fu on 6/19/25, but I'll just cover the highlights. The Select Committee has requested an investigation. On June 16th of this year, some documents were declassified, and those documents are the basis of this story. It turns out that just a few months prior to the 2020 election, the FBI found out that 20,000 fake U.S. driver's licenses being sent from China were intercepted by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. So they alerted the pertinent federal agencies, and then all of a sudden the FBI recalled the advisory and directed the file to be destroyed. The current FBI director says the documents detail, quote, alarming allegations. Specifically, these include allegations of plans for the CCP, that is the Chinese Communist Party, to manufacture fake driver's licenses and to ship them to the U.S. for the purpose of facilitating fraudulent mail-in ballots, allegations that, while substantiated, were abruptly recalled and never disclosed to the public. The Customs and Border Protection Agency said at the time that the fake IDs could lead to identity theft and endanger critical U.S. infrastructure. This would allow for tens of thousands of otherwise ineligible people to cast fraudulent votes. In August 2020, on CBS's Face the Nation news program, then White House National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien said that the Chinese state-linked hackers were targeting U.S. election infrastructure. So, now we know that at least 20,000 fake driver's licenses were seized, but how many more got through? How many came to Washington County? Did anyone in the Washington County Elections Office even hear about this? Probably not, because the advisory was recalled, quite possibly due to corruption at a high level. Did the Secretary of State know? Same as above, probably not. These are the type of things that need to be addressed by the Washington County, by you. Let's think about this for a minute. The CCP is targeting our elections, and we know they're sending thousands of fake IDs into our country. Now, in states where they vote in person, the CCP is going to pay thousands of dollars, or is the CCP going to pay thousands of people to go out and vote at the elections office with fake IDs? That would be difficult, expensive, and pretty risky when you think about it. That's a lot of people. Why not just go to a vote-by-mail state like Oregon, where one person could be able to register hundreds of fake IDs, of fake ID voters? How hard would that be? From page 5 of the Oregon Vote-by-Mail Manual, determining voter qualifications as it pertains to residential address, new registrations or updates, ORS, blah, blah, blah. Number 3, after receiving a complete registration card, the county elections official must determine if the voter is qualified to register to vote. Qualifications are 1, they have to be a U.S. citizen, but they self-attest to that, so that's not really a problem. Number 2, they need to be at least 16 years old, and this is covered by the fake ID, so that's not a problem. Number 3, they must be an Oregon resident, also covered by the fake ID. So, and voila, you have a registered voter. So now, do we know that this has happened in Washington County? Well, we sure don't know that it hasn't, do we? This is one of the many reasons why we, the people, are asking you to use home rule in Washington County in order to ensure that our votes count. We need to provide proof of citizenship to be registered, make available absentee ballots for military travel, medical, or disability purposes, and then vote in person with valid government-issued photo ID. Because if you don't, we really don't know how many voters have been created with fake ID. And let's not forget the record voter turnout in the 2020 election. So thank you for your time. I hope you have a happy Independence Day.
Next is Latreille.
Good evening, Vice Chair and Commissioners. I am Jill Latreille, a resident of Washington County. This evening, I'd like to share with you some Washington County voter roll statistics. You have before you some graphs, which I'd like to briefly walk you through and hope that you take the time to study them further after the meeting. All the graphs show annual data for the period from October 2020 to May 2025. Population data is provided primarily from the Portland State University Population Research Center. Voter registration data is taken directly from Washington County voter rolls. Graph 1 shows the population of Washington County, the number of total voters, both active and inactive voters. Note that while the population stays relatively flat, around 600,000, all the categories of voter registrations increase, with the active voters increasing by more than 21,000 and the inactive voters by more than 43,000 since 2020. Graph 2 shows the registered voters as a percentage of the population. This includes all voters with the breakout of active and inactive voters. As illustrated, registrations have been steadily increasing, with the greatest increase among the inactive voters. Graph 3 compares active and inactive voters as an annual percentage of total voters from 2020 to 2025. The data demonstrates an overall steady decrease in active voters and an increase in inactive voters. Graph 4 plots the percent annual change in the population, the total registered voters, active voters, and inactive voters. Using 2020 numbers as a baseline, from 2021 to 2025, the population percentage fluctuations from about 0.3% decrease to a 0.7 increase, basically hovering around 600,000. The percent of total registered voters increased from 2 to 3.4% every year. The percent of active registered voters decreased once, but otherwise increased from 0.8 to 2% every other year. The most startling data, however, shown in the inactive voter category. The percent of inactive voters increased every year from 2.9% to as much as 24% in 2022. This influx of inactive voters aligns with the passage of HB 2681, which removed the requirement to clean the voter rolls and resulted in 525,918 registrations added back onto the voter rolls statewide. It also provides the basis for the Judicial Watch lawsuit. The percentage of inactive voters has increased annually at an average of 13.4%. The steady increase of inactive voters indicates the rolls are not being properly maintained and Washington County is out of compliance with federal law. On the final page of your charts, I'd like to share some interesting Washington County statistics per the U.S. Census Bureau and the Washington County Elections Office. To save time, I will not read the exact numbers. However, the exact numbers and the sources are written on your document. Using the population of the county, approximately 600,000, less the number of non-citizens from the 2023 U.S. Census data, which is a little over 53,000, less the population under age 18, which is about 21%, or 126,000 people. So the 25% of active voters per eligible voters is 95%, extremely high. The Washington County voter turnout in May 2025 was 22.47%. In 2024, the percent of active voters per eligible voter was 90%. The voter turnout in November 2024 was 75.27%. The following is also per U.S. Census Bureau, published April 30th, 2025. In the 2024 presidential election, 73.6%, 174 million people, of the citizen voting age population was registered to vote, and 65.3%, 154 million people voted. It's highly doubtful that Washington County active voters exceed the national average by more than 20%, 95% compared to the 73.6%. This clearly calls into question the number of voters labeled as active on the rolls. If the voter rolls are not trustworthy, then election results cannot be trusted either, as we cannot confirm that the votes are cast by truly eligible voters. We request that Washington County clean our county's voter rolls and ensure that each vote is cast from an eligible voter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Latre. Mr. Law.
Good evening, Vice Chair Treese and Commissioners. My name is Roger W. Law, and I've been a resident of Washington County for 42 years. Tonight, I will read from the Executive Order 14248, Preserving and Protecting the Integrity of Americans' Elections. It's Section 6, Improving Security of Voting Systems. To improve the security of all voting equipment and systems used to cast ballots, tabulate votes, and report results, A, the Attorney General and Secretary of Homeland Security shall take all appropriate actions to the extent permitted by 42 U.S. Code 5195C and all other applicable law, so long as the Department of Homeland Security maintains the designation of election infrastructure as critical infrastructure, as defined by 42 U.S. Code 5195C subsection E, to prevent all non-citizens from being involved in the administration of any federal election, including by accessing election equipment, ballots, or any other relevant materials used in the conduct of any federal election. B, the Secretary of Homeland Security shall, in coordination with the Election Assistance Commission and to the maximum extent possible, review and report on the security of all electronic systems used in the voter registration and voting process. The Secretary of Homeland Security, as the head of the designated Sector Risk Management Agency under 6 U.S. Code 6523A, in coordination with the Election Assistance Commission, shall assess the security of all such systems to the extent they are connected to or integrated into the Internet and report on the risk of such systems being compromised through malicious software and unauthorized intrusions into the system. We look forward to our county improving the security of our voting systems. Thank you for listening to the Spirit of Truth speak through me.
Thank you very much for your public comment. Appreciate it.
All right. Next,
All right.
Madam Vice Chair, the last three we have is Bob Seward, Rebecca Miller, and Aaron Rasmussen.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Ladies first.
I think you were called first.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I'm up.
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you. Last time I was here, I had a sign that said medical science has established that cutting Medicaid to millions will mean thousands of deaths. And I didn't bring the sign, no, because you're not supposed to have a sign. But I want to elaborate on that a little bit. In 2014, the Affordable Care Act was passed. And as part of that act, 24 states got Medicaid. 24 states refused the Medicaid. The medical community was horrified. They knew that people would suffer and some would die, but they didn't have any proof. So history moved along, and some enterprising scientists at Harvard decided to study this. Let's look at the mortality in the states that took the Medicaid and the states that refused it. Because the argument was, oh, they can always go to the emergency room. Nobody will get hurt. So what they did is they compared the states that took Medicaid and the states that didn't. Guess what? They found thousands of deaths in the states that did not take the Medicaid. For instance, in Florida, they estimate 2,000 people died a year. In Texas, 3,000 died a year. What these studies do is they lay rest the argument they can always go to the emergency room. All states have emergency rooms. But the thing that was different was some of the states that accepted Medicaid and some didn't. So that's one argument that the Republicans are going to make. They can always go to the emergency room. We scientifically have proven they can go to the emergency room, but there's still going to be increased mortality in those states. The other factor is emergency room care is not total medical care. That's a small percentage of everybody's health care. In most countries around the world, except in the United States, people are they have universal health care. They have doctors, they have nurses, they have clinics. And they don't have to just rely on the emergency room. The other argument is, and this is what you're going to hear a lot of excuses now, because the Republicans, I think, are going to go ahead with this. But one of the arguments is, and you hear this on the street, I don't want to pay for those immigrants' health care. They're coming into this, they're illegal immigrants, and they're getting all this free medical care. What's the counter argument to that is, you're already paying for their care. Because they get sick and they stay home because all they have is the emergency room. So they get sick. For instance, they get diabetes. All around the world, you go to your doctor, you get a blood sugar, and they say, oh, you're diabetic. We're going to start you on treatment. But not here. Here, the poor people and the immigrants are forced to go to the emergency room. So they don't go. So by the time they go to the emergency room, they're already starting to lose their vision, their kidney function, and maybe have amputations. And so what happens when all these people go to the emergency room with advanced cancer, advanced diabetes? The emergency room, by law, has to take care of them. So they do. What happens to your insurance rates? Your insurance rates go up. The hospital's not going to cover it. So everybody else is paying for the fact that we have inadequate care. And the last argument I would make is that to do this is immoral. It's immoral. We know that people are going to be hurt, and people are going to die. It's immoral to pass a bill that would cause death. So be aware of the arguments that are going to be coming. There'll be a lot of excuses, but we now know by scientific fact that when these states don't take the Medicaid, people die and people are hurt. It's wrong. It's wrong. So I'm just informing you because you're involved in health care, and I wish every citizen in the United States had this information.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for
Appreciate
listening.
your public comment. Ms. Miller.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Rebecca Miller. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a resident of unincorporated Washington County. You might recognize me because I do work here at Washington County, but my views tonight are my own. I want to thank you for not rescinding the equity resolution and all that it really represents in both fact and spirit. I can't imagine the challenge that you face and other county executives face in threading this needle and the immense pressure that you're under. I wish that you all had spines of steel. You're going to need them in the years ahead. We're 6 months in. It's just starting. There are conflicts inherent in the executive order to the laws, the longstanding laws and rules governing the programs in service to the public that your capable staff deliver. There will be legal fights. You may not be able to afford the fight of this, but there will be more fights. So how do we do that? I ask you to consider forming a coalition with other jurisdictions, with the people of this community, with your staff, with community-based organizations. Band together and stand together and fight this. I have no faith that any capitulation will make the residents of this county or the federal tax dollars that I've paid and you've paid and everyone in this room has paid any safer. The chaos and pain created by this administration is far-reaching and seeming without any limits. It's petulant, it's arbitrary, and it's mean. Please lead the way and be the inspiration, be our shield. And create a gap that we as residents, as parents, and as leaders can step into. Create that gap so between us and like where we want to be, that we can step behind you. That's what I ask. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. Ms. Rasmussen.
Hi, I had just a quick observation. I feel like as somebody who's worked in software and technology in Washington County since the mid-90s, I have been really the benefit of these initiatives that have allowed me as a person who's not a white guy with a conventional software background to step in and have an opportunity to have a career and live in a county that has been diverse and being able to represent all our members well. And as you go forward, I just wanted to pause a moment and reflect upon like the real impact that we can have when we allow space for everybody in our community to really participate and engage. And I know this is really not going to be an easy year, but I just really appreciate that you guys are here in it with us, and that just reflect upon the fact that we've had some really remarkable community members have some great opportunities just by really allowing people to look with a wider lens and encouraging our businesses and our nonprofit organizations, all organizations, to really search for those talented team members that might be like outside the conventional view. So just pause a moment, and I get to be last with that happy sentiment, so I appreciate that too. Thank you very much for all your hard work. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for your comments this evening.
Thank you.
So it's time for board announcements, and I'm going to move forward with those. Tuesday, July 1st, there'll be no meeting. We do not hold meeting during the week of Independence Day holiday. On Tuesday, July 8th, we have a work session at 9 a.m. Tuesday, July 15th, we have a work session at 9 a.m. and a board meeting at 10 a.m. Friday, July 18th, we have Clean Water Services Board of Directors work session at 9 a.m. Tuesday, July 22nd, we have a work session at 2 p.m. and the board meeting at 6:30 p.m. And Tuesday, 29th, at this point, there are no meetings scheduled. Are there any other board announcements? Right. I'd like a motion for adjournment, please.
So move.
Second. All those in favor? Any opposed? I don't think so. Thank you very much. The motion passes. And thank you all for being here and staying with us throughout this meeting. Good night.